Hotline. Welcome to the Herald Washington Post 1987 Hotline TV show. Now to that fantastic commander, Bam.
Good evening, everyone. How you doing? And I'd like to welcome you to our show again. And this is the Hotline. And with my compadres, my ride or die. But anyway, I have a very, very special guest. And veterans, pay attention because this is something that you probably won't see or hear in quite a long time. We have our 3rd District service officer with us tonight. Our service officer is like a lawyer, and he will help you get through anything, any claims that you may have. And this is what you need to know about it. Without any further ado, I'm going to introduce you all to Rich. We call him Rich. His name is Richard Lesniewicz. So don't even worry about it. Thank you very much.
Okay, so we're going to do hotline calls. All right. Let's go.
Welcome to the show, Rich.
Hey.
Nice to have you back. Folks out there in television land, the things you're going to hear tonight and tomorrow from Rich is information you need to know. So you need to get a pen, some paper, and take notes, because the whole apparatus of the VA system and how it affects us veterans is about to change. Rich, welcome back to the show. You have come a long way in these 30-some years.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And you've seen a lot.
Yes.
And what you're beginning to see now with this transition of the VA administration, what kind of effect is this going to have on the VA system and when it comes to our benefits?
Well, the most important things right now, and there's so many issues that we're concerned with. One of the things that we have to do as a veterans community is we have to educate ourselves to what the policies and the new laws have just been passed. As most of you know, the choice program was just reaching out of virginity. We just started to get the veterans and the contract providers to understand the program. And now we have a new bill that's been put up that's going to allow us to be able to go to any hospital that we want to. Although it hasn't been fine-tuned, we're looking at maybe 2019. But the problem is that every time we get a program that seems that it's going to work in our favor, they pull the plug on it, and now we have another compounded issue. But in reality, the Veterans Administration Hospital could handle all our medical care. And it has been purposely set to keep us at a low level as a teaching entity. So most of the doctors that you see are interns. Well, outside of the hospital, will we be getting medical care as low income, or will we be getting the top line medical care? And these are things that us veterans need to pay attention to. We can no longer count on everybody to tell us what's going on. We have to be educated ourselves. Because for the past 20 years, I've said the same thing. In order for the Veterans Administration to work, we, the veterans who are supposed to support, need to work. And a lot of things are coming up. As you know, like the commander said, we'll be doing another program tomorrow. But I want to get out a couple of important things that we're seeing in claims. And one of the main things is I would advise anybody that has been using the VA since before 1990 to get a hard copy of their medical records. And the reason for that is I've just recently, within the last month, saw on claims where the Department of Veterans Affairs has stated that the records from a certain period, say 1991 through 1998, seem to be unavailable, so their decision is that they don't exist.
Wow.
Now, in the claims process, some veterans and a lot of guys that got out after Vietnam and the first Gulf War, the key evidence necessary to get a grant of benefits is contained in that year package. So it's important that we pay attention to what's going on. And the other thing is, we have to understand that the benefit system is not a get-rich scheme. And frivolously applying continuously for things to tie up the system negates other veterans getting assistance. But now, with the national queue where all our records are scanned into this cloud, and any regional office in the country can pull a portion of your claim out. So we have to be, before you file a claim and go to a representative, it behooves you to have all your evidence when you walk in the door. And this would allow them to concentrate on getting it moved forward. I've been doing this a long time, and I've seen a lot of different things come through the VA, but the main thing that I notice is the most is we as a community are not educating ourselves. And this is how our leaders, our politicians, and our government can do what they want without consulting us. And that's where the problem lies. The law and the promise that was given to all of us when we enlisted as a carrot by the recruiters was that if we did honorable service, we would be entitled to free medical care for the rest of our lives. Well, that seems not to be the case. I was just recently came to the knowledge that the national maximum income level to use a VA hospital is $49,000 a year. In Illinois, the 3 hospitals that we have, the cap is like $29,000. So that would mean if you had not filed a claim or used the VA by 2009 and you made $42,000 a year, you would not be entitled to use the hospital that you were promised. And it's my belief that this was done purposely because if they know that if a gentleman, and there was a category, specifically category 8, where veterans who were not service connected would be willing to pay a copay to use the Veterans Administration hospitals. And by doing such, this would require the VA to ensure that we get top-notch care. No longer the mishaps in the operating room with the intern doing the surgery with the doctor's signature on the sheets. Well, this was eliminated. So that means that we are being treated at the same level as low income, regardless of our service-connected conditions. And this was not the promise given to us when we enlisted.
Rich, let me ask you a question, because I'm sitting here listening to you. How is it? And we heard that the VA, the veterans, we supposed to have some of the best lobbyists in Washington.
Well,
how did mean testing slip through the hands of our lobbyists if we supposed to have some of the best?
Well, the issue isn't so much the lobbyists that we have, it's the long term. It's just like the regular politicians. There has to be term limits. Remember, politics is a drug. When you get in that, you're high hopes, so you might lose track of what your mission and purpose is. And that's why, okay. All right, but what the problem is the means test is only a one-time deal. Okay, but just that, knowing that if I went to work and I never filed a claim, that I can't use it, you know? And this wasn't told to us. Okay.
Thank you. Special bulletin. I just been handing a special
Red
bulletin.
alert.
Red alert. Tomorrow's show will start from 3:30 p.m. to 4 p.m. So tune in tomorrow. And Rich will be here as well. Go ahead, Rich.
So again, I keep stressing, and I'm going to continue stressing, and I stress it to all you guys when I talk to you and anybody out there that knows me, and there's quite a few of you know how I feel about this is my life. So it's time for us to make a change. Now, the only segment of society that has not yet marched and demanded what was owed them is us. And that's because we still live by the oath that we took. And that's what keeps our politicians and the rich people sleeping comfortably at night, is that they know that we honor our oath. And we need, as a community now, my fear is, and that where we are now is that the Iraq and Afghanistan veterans are the next bunch. So we need to educate them and support them and get them more involved in what we're doing. Yeah, get that up.
Let me ask you, Rich,
Yes, sir.
how is it that as veterans, we seem to be caught up in two different camps? Because we have some veterans who think and act like you and I act. But then we have other veterans that's in the other camp. And by them being in the other camp, they don't think like we think.
Well, see,
So
that's...
how do we bridge that gap?
These guys, then that's our job. Those of us that are walking, talking, and chewing gum, we got to reach out and try to bring them out of the fog. But there's some, just like regular society, there's portions that we can't rescue. So what we have to deal with is what we have. And what we have, now I've started at the colleges. I did in March, I did one at Harold Washington College. And I've been awakened to a lot of things that surprised me within the last few years, and one of the things that's really has me going is the book that is used by the Department of Veterans Affairs to determine the severity of our disabilities was written in 1947. Okay, well, in 1947, ischemic heart disease didn't exist. 1947, PTSD didn't exist. So what they were supposed to have done is done addendums to every era. And one of the problems is when we have the fog. All of us are in the fog at one time or another. So a lot of guys got out. They didn't like the military. For whatever reason, they didn't seek out treatment. They got involved with drugs and alcohol, and they never came out of that fog. We, those of us that have been able to fight that and go through our programs and achieve where we are, I believe now our main purpose is to ensure that the Iraqi and Afghanistan veterans are educated to everything involving, I mean, no lies, straight up facts. This is what's going on, because they have the networking and they have the youth and the strength to go out and seek legal recourse ahead of time. Their organizations are more organized because they're in the colleges and the universities, whereas what started most of the changes in our country. Okay, but as a community, we're not united.
We're not.
You know, because you have, we are the most encompassing of everything in society. Age, religion, race, sex, eras are definitely the specific issues, because a lot of people look at just World War I and World War II, and that era, those guys, you know, there was issues that were positive. Korea, so. After Vietnam, the support of the veterans community kind of diminished. Okay, because then the government determined, now they found out, you're going to have to be paying a lot of benefits. People were injured, people were, you know, and permanent for life. And the thought process, I guess, in some thinking, maybe the money crunchers were thinking that because of our honor, a lot of us wouldn't apply for benefits. And there are those that won't. Guys that actually feel that being injured was just part of the job.
But Rich, if you look at Congress, one of the things that Congress does is get on the floor of the House and the Senate and talk about veterans. We're some of the greatest peoples in the world. The Army people, some of the fighting people of the world, the best fighting, the best equipped.
That's what
But
sales.
when we come home,
Right. This is
they
where the
sing
problem.
a different song. Matter of fact, they were on the floor of the Senate and voted to deny us veteran benefits because they said it costs too much.
Oh, that will never happen. But they're looking in right now, and for the past 5 years, it's been very difficult to get 100%. And that's because upstairs administration made it clear to the people that are adjudicating these claims that you're going to keep the 100% down. And you're going to make it difficult to reach that point. One of the problems is that this isn't rocket science doing a claim. And where the difference is, Legion service officers, we get trained by lawyers. We get trained, when I was in the National Veterans Legal Services Program, taught us. And the gentleman that was our instructor was a guy by the name of Mr. Ron Abrams. And Ron Abrams co-wrote Chapter 38. And so when we get taught, we're taught to do it the way it's supposed to be done.
Write a book.
Up until 2007, the Department of Veterans Affairs conducted hands-on training in TRIP. And that's with the training course. And the senior service officers from the organizations taught the course.
Okay.
Well, the last class was in 2007. Currently, the Department of Veterans Affairs gives them one class when hired, and yearly they can take a test on the computer where there's no proctor, no coach, and they're qualified to continue working. Well, at every level, I had always assumed that each VA employee at every process was reading what we were submitting.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're starting to see that that doesn't happen until the last stage of it, because had the individual that took the application saw that this was an issue that could be dealt with quickly, or was a priority, or the veteran was terminal, without having to say that it's terminal. It's not the education level.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and that's not happening. And now with the Q was devised by Mr. McDonald, and this happened after 2015. And quite frankly, it relieves the regional office of any responsibility of the claim, because now that it's in the cloud, we don't know who did what, and we don't have access to know and change any of that. The Accountability Act that was passed when Mr. Trump got in office was actually done by the American Legion and the VFW. We did that resolution. We took it to the national. We took it to them. And what had happened, they took it, the Trump team, and they used that as their supposed guideline for how they were going to deal with the Department of Veterans Affairs. Now, when I saw it coming out, and during the course of the time that we kept getting it, it was a positive thing, and everybody was really happy.
Mm-hmm.
But the Accountability Act is allowed to give us the opportunity to fix the problems. And how it was supposed to work was we would be able to say, you know, this area might need more training in this area, or this individual is not following suit. And the hiring and firing and disciplinary practices were changed. But now it's been, a couple of years, and as far as we can see, we're not seeing anything being done utilizing that.
Well then, what course do the veterans have when it comes to our elected officials in Congress?
Well, that's
because what is it that we need to do? Because mean testing should be thrown out the window.
Well, means test is actually, it's just a one-time deal. That's it. Okay? And essentially, they have access to your Social Security records after that, so they know what you're coming in and going out with. Means test, yeah, it should not have been we were not told we would have to prove how much money we made.
Absolutely.
To utilize what we were promised
Yes.
as a carrot. And through the course of us not being able to get together and challenge this, these things were done just like everything else. We have no word in it. Now, I can't discuss what I would like to say on that. I would have to do that on a program that doesn't concern the American Legion, because by the Legion doctrine, I am not allowed to discuss politics.
Mm-hmm.
And so my job when I'm wearing the Legion hat is to take care of you guys.
Mm-hmm.
And the fight is I can tell you that it has drained my health at numerous times, that the level of stupidity. But outside of that, the main thing is, that's the key here is only one key. We as veterans have to educate ourselves, and we cannot allow politicians to come in our communities and pull little stunts for election day and not answer to the organization. In the city of Chicago, the American Legion is the largest working service organization. And my district being the entire southeast side of the city, I'm very busy, okay? And I see a lot. Okay? And not all service officers are out there doing, but our job is 24/7. The guys that work in the office are 9 to 4. Okay? So we're, again, my main thing is you guys, we as veterans have to educate ourselves. That's the key. You got to get as much knowledge. If you're on the Facebook, just type in the Department of Veterans Affairs and see what they're doing. Be able to carry a conversation about veterans issues even without being with another veteran. The more the public knows what's going on with us, the more we can sway into the campus saying, wait a minute, we thought the other way around. Because most people in the general public are under the assumption that we are well taken care of. They don't know what the struggle is.
Brothers and sisters out there in television land, you just heard from one of the #1 service officer in the city of Chicago, the state of Illinois. And he just told you that the system has some flaws. And in order to get the system correct, we as veterans have to come together. We have to put aside our differences. And sometimes race plays a factor in that issue. In order for us to get the VA to do the things we need them to do, it starts in Washington, D.C. Because they hold the purse strings, the key to the purse strings. They let a lot of stuff happen under the disguise that they support us. They support us when it's to their benefit. And since economics is part of the equation here,
It's the main part of the equation.
yes, follow the money from A to Z. The budget for the military is huge. The budget for the Pentagon is huge. But what they want to give us is a shame. And until we stand up and fight back, we're going to get more of the same. One of the things about the Herald Washington Post is that we have our own farm. And I want you to know that our sponsors is the United Way, Kellogg. We need your help. Kellogg and United Way are partnering to help people get access to fresh food through supporting urban gardens. Join the fight to help end hunger and create 3 billion better days by volunteering at this upcoming event. We are holding in our community June 21st, 2018, 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. Center for New Horizon, 4150 South King Drive, Chicago, Illinois, 60653. The next issue is we're going to have our annual picnic in Washington Park, August the 18th, 1700 Jackson Park. August the 18th, 1700 East 63rd Street. And we need you folks to get out and support our picnic. We have plenty of food. The 25th is our last show, and tomorrow is a makeup date, so tune in tomorrow. As I say, brothers and sisters out there in television land, if it wasn't for this man right here being on top of all of these different issues that affects us as veterans, where will we be? That's why we need you service officers. Take a page from Rich's notebook. Get yourself well equipped. So when Rich take that exodus, we'll have some other service officers that will be able to fit his shoes. Right now, it's hard to see anybody fitting Rich's shoes. And Rich, we want to thank you. We applaud you for the excellent job that you have done over the years. Any final thoughts?
Just get ourselves educated. And if you have questions, pick up the phone, okay? And if not, if you can't reach us through here, visit one of the posts. All you got to do is drop in, say you need to reach out. We'll get in touch with you. But the main king is all of you, caller.
Caller, go ahead. You on the air. Hurry up.
Yes, I was trying to get those dates again that you.
That's the last show is the 25th, and the next show is tomorrow from 3:30 to 4 o'clock.
Okay, and the date for the picnic and the meeting.
That's going to be August the 18th, 1700 East 63rd Street.
Okay, and the meeting on King Drive.
That's going to be the 23rd from 11 until 51st and King Drive.
Oh, 11 until? Okay.
Thank you for your call.
You welcome.
Should have told him to make sure he brings a shovel and some farming equipment. He's going to be moving some roots around. He might show out there in his Stacey Adams and be embarrassed. Sorry.
And we want you folks out there to understand, if your community have a food desert, shame on you. Because we have plenty of open land, open lots to grow food. There's no reason on God's green earth for us to be saying that we live in a food desert. You can grow food anywhere, at least almost anywhere. But join us June 21st, 9 to 12, 4150 South King Drive. And tomorrow, 3:30 to 4 o'clock, because this young man has more fantastic information to give to our veterans. Rich, when you're having fun, time flies.
Time flies.
Okay? Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you.
And we appreciate
Thank you for having me on.
Our technician out there, we appreciate you, Jack. Until next time, tomorrow. Good day.